Hello dear friends and dear students, welcome back to Top Lesson for You. Welcome back after a long period of time because we had some issues, some problems facing. As you know, dear students, we are discussing about the human circulatory system. So we have covered the branches of the arteries which are coming to the facial region, to the face. And I have in the section of nervous system, I have discussed about the blood supply of the brain also, so you can go and watch those lectures. Now after the facial region, I'm going to discuss about the blood supply, arterial supply of the upper limb, right? Then we will discuss, after that we will discuss about the blood supply of the lower limb. And then we will inshallah discuss, we'll go further and further, and we will cover I will try to cover all the blood supply of the whole body, right? So be with us. We are recording about the circulatory system. Now in this lecture, I'm discussing about the blood supply of the upper limbs, right? So as you know, we have two limbs, so we are going to discuss about the blood supply of the one limb, right, which is right limb. That will be both for the upper limbs. So let's discuss the blood supply of the upper limb. So let me say something basics regarding the blood supply of the upper limb. So friends, as you can see in this diagram, this is our sternum and this is the first rib. This is our trachea. We are not concerned with that. We are concerned with this red colored artery and the branches of it, right? So while discussing about the blood supply of the upper limb, so as we know, our upper limb blood supply will begin from the brachial artery, right? So I'm not going to discuss it from the brachial artery. I'm going to discuss it from the base, from where the artery, those arteries which are moving towards the upper limb, on the left side and on the right side. We will discuss it from that basic point, from that base, and we will bring this artery up to the phalanges, right? So first of all, let me draw a very simple diagram. Here we will see this artery. What is this artery, right friends? So my dear friends, as you know, we have our heart. We have heart in our body, right? And inside our heart we have two ventricles, right? This is right ventricle and this is left ventricle. Okay friends, I have discussed about the anatomy of the heart in detail. You can go and watch my lectures regarding the anatomy of the human heart, right? We are not concerned with that right now. So friends, from this LV, left ventricle, there is a big artery which arises and comes like this. And I have recorded about its branches in detail. You can watch them. Okay. Now friends, this is our aorta, right? Okay. From our aorta, there are three branches which arise. This is the ascending aorta, and this is the aortic arch. And from the base of aorta, there are coronary arteries. We have recorded them in detail. Now from this aortic arch, there are three arteries which arise, right? So this one is the left subclavian artery, right? This one will be the left common carotid artery. Okay, this is our left common carotid artery, right friends? And from here, there is an artery which is called the Brachiocephalic Artery, right? Let me fastly name them. This is left subclavian artery, right? And this is left common carotid artery. I'm writing it shortly. And this artery is our brachiocephalic artery, right? Brachiocephalic artery. Right, this is our brachiocephalic artery on the right side. And this is our left subclavian artery on the left side. So this left subclavian artery will move forward and it will supply blood to the shoulder region, right? To some branches to the thoracic region, some branches to the posterior region, right? And then it will give branch to the upper limb on the left side, on the left limb, right? In this right limb, as I have drawn the diagram here for the right hand, so we are concerned with this brachiocephalic artery. So this brachiocephalic artery, when it's moved forward, it gives off two branches, and this first branch which is moving upward, this is called the right common carotid artery. This is right common carotid artery, and this artery will be our right subclavian artery. Right subclavian artery. Okay, dear friends. Now let's move forward and see all the branches which is given by this right subclavian artery. Same will be the case for this left subclavian artery, but we have drawn here the diagram of the right subclavian artery. So this is, friend, our this part. Look, let me label it. This part is our brachiocephalic artery. Brachiocephalic artery. Okay, done with it. And this brachiocephalic artery, when it moves forward, it bifurcates into two branches. This branch going up, this is our right common carotid artery. Right, friends, now I have recorded about these arteries in detail. You can watch them. And this artery which is bifurcating here, which is separating from this brachiocephalic, this artery is our right subclavian artery. Right subclavian artery. I hope you are understanding. If we compare this diagram with this diagram, so this part I have done here, I have drawn there, right? So let's see all the branches which are arising from this right subclavian artery, and then we will make it move forward. Then we will make it auxiliary artery, and then from that auxiliary artery there will be the brachial artery, and from the brachial artery will move forward and supply blood to the upper limb, right? So let me divide this artery first of all. What? Subclavian artery. Let me write here. Subclavian artery. Let's write some detail about subclavian artery. A little bit about subclavian artery. First of all, the most important thing about this subclavian artery is that from where does it arise? What is the origin of this subclavian artery? I'm not talking about the right subclavian, and I'm not talking about the left subclavian. We are talking about subclavian artery, right? So what is the origin point? Right? So as you know, dear friends, we have two subclavian arteries, one on the right side and one on the left side. So the right subclavian artery branches off from the brachiocephalic artery, right? So the right subclavian artery is the branch of brachiocephalic artery. I hope it's clear to all of you. Right, and the left subclavian artery is the branch of aortic arch. As you can see here, it arises from the aortic arch. That's done with it. This was the origin. Now, what is the diameter of this artery, this subclavian artery diameter? Right? So this will be the length and this will be the diameter. So the diameter of this subclavian artery, either it is on the right or left, it will be from 7.7 up to 12.3 millimeters, right? So it's about the very not very much, but very narrow artery, right? It's the diameter. Then we move up to and discuss about the length. What is the length of this artery? So as you know, we have two subclavians, the right subclavian and the left subclavian. So the length of the right subclavian artery is about 8.3 centimeter, right? 8.3 centimeter. As it bifurcates from here, it comes like this. So up to here, this is the subclavian artery, right? So the length of the right subclavian artery is about 8.3 centimeter, and the length of the left subclavian artery is about 9.2 centimeter. So the left subclavian artery is a little lengthier than the right subclavian artery, right? So this was some basic things regarding the both of the subclavian arteries. Now let us see parts. This artery is divided on the both sides, dear friends. This artery is divided into three main parts, right? Three main parts. Look here. Okay, so friends, as you know, this one I haven't brightened it, but to make you guys understand, I have made here a muscle, and this muscle which I have made here in blue color, once again I'm telling you that I haven't brightened this muscle, because if we brighten it, the posterior branches of this left subclavian artery will be hidden. So this muscle that we have here, this is our anterior scalene muscle, right? Anterior scalene muscle. Okay, so there are three scalene muscles. We are not concerned with those muscles as we are discussing about the arteries. So this is anterior scalene muscle. Now look carefully. We can see this artery, this subclavian artery, it has three main regions, right? The part of the subclavian artery which is medial to, this is the midline, right, which is medial to the scalene muscle. So the first part, right, okay, the first part, where is the first part? The first part is medial to scalene muscle. You can see here, this is our scalene muscle. So this part of this left subclavian artery is the first part of this artery, and which is medially to here the scalene muscle, which is medial to scalene muscle, right friends? Okay, so what are the branches from this first part? Look carefully. Branches, let me write here the branches too, right? So parts, it has divided into three parts, we will see, and the branches of this artery in each part, right? So the first part bears about three branches. I will show you there also, but let me write it here. The first part gives off the first artery, which is called the vertebral artery, right? Vertebral artery. Okay, this is our vertebral artery. Look carefully, dear friends. This artery is our vertebral artery, right? And this second trunk, there is a big trunk which arises from this first part of this artery, this trunk, which gives off about three further branches. This trunk is called the thyrocervical trunk. This is our thyrocervical trunk. Okay, it's so easy. Thyrocervical trunk. And the third branch, which arises from this first part of this artery, the subclavian artery, is this one. This is the internal thoracic artery, right? This was our trunk, thyrocervical trunk. And this third artery which arises from this, which moves down and comes anteriorly and supply the intercostal spaces, this is the internal thoracic artery. Internal thoracic artery. Right, very good, dear friends. Now look carefully. This thyrocervical trunk will give off two branches, thyro and cervical, right? Thyro and